And I was able to get past virtually all of the current environmental law. I bring that up because we should have the super ferry here. We don't have it here because the administration failed to get an environmental assessment done prior to getting the super ferry launched. Now there's only one person that can take the main blame for that, and that's Linda Lingle. And now she's running to be in the Senate. So she's a very lovely lady, very bright, personable, raises money like you can't believe, but I don't think she has the background to be in the United States Senate. And this is just one item that I'm talking about. The second thing that I wanted to bring up on that same subject is the issue of the Akaka bill. We finally have a resolution, I believe, just got passed to basically say that the party is against the Akaka bill. And Mrs. Lingle had been up in Washington campaigning for the Akaka bill for about 8 years. I think that's dead wrong. It's constitutionally wrong. Number one, even against the 1840 Constitution of the Ali'i. King Kamehameha III issued basically a constitution in 1840, and the preamble says, "God hath made all men to live together in peace and harmony and blessedness." And all of the case law that followed from that time talks about equality. There's nothing in there about the common, the Makakaina having special benefits and so forth. And that went all the way through. In 1881, they had a law that set up it's called basically the housing for, the homesteading law for 1881 allowed anybody who was qualified to become a homesteader and then take the fee simple at the end of that time. What I'm proposing, and I will propose this in the U.S. Senate, is that the people who are homesteaders now and all of those who are 50%ers, in other words, everyone who's 50% quantum, will qualify, and we should make land available to them, give them that land, give it to them in fee, and give it to them without cost to them, and then let's be done with the Hawaiian Homes Commission and this paternalistic system that's been going on for years and years and years. People are going to say, well, John, you're a haole and so forth. Well, I happen to have about 21 descendants that are all part Hawaiian who will all benefit at one level or another, both from Oahu, and so that's why I feel free to talk about this on that level. Mrs. Lingle has not fulfilled her promise with respect to Hawaiian housing in the homelands distribution, and she has just failed in that area, in addition to backing up this unconstitutional Akaka bill. So that is another reason that I'm running against her. The third thing that I'm really, and by the way, Adrian, I really appreciate putting out all those essays on the Jones Act, because I think people just don't understand. Does anybody here not understand the Jones Act, or probably? Well, just briefly, the Jones Act is a federal law, and it says if a ship is not built in America, manned by American crew, 70%, owned by Americans, flagged in America, maintained in America, it cannot go in interstate commerce. Now, the net effect of that law is that if we're going to get 1,000 cars to go to California, 500 of which are supposed to come to Hawaii, that Japanese ship cannot come to Hawaii, offload the 500 here, and then go on to California. They've got to go all the way to California, put it on Matson, and then bring it back, or Horizon if they're still in business. So one of the main things that I intend to do, and it's the #1 issue for me, is to get rid of the Jones Act restrictions on Hawaii, and ultimately to get rid of them on the entire United States. Senator McCain has done that. Charles Dejoux tried to do it. Even Ed Case made a shot at it, but they did not get it done. And I promise you that I will be vocal. They have to shoot me to get me off the floor on that issue. So the other part of the Jones Act that is so terribly important, and I think that some of you are almost as old as I am, could possibly remember, but we used to have 9 dairies on this island. There are no dairies now. The hatcheries are down to 1 or 2. We do not have fresh milk here. People are paying $10 a gallon. I buy milk in the commissary. It was over $10 for a gallon of milk, and it's not fresh milk. Now, this is ridiculous. The cost of doing business in agriculture is prohibitive. I live on a farm on the Big Island, so I'm with people that are in the agricultural business, and I pay attention to the cost of BP12 and things of that sort. That is the reason that Hawaii is in the economic mess that it's in right now. Mrs. Lingle did nothing in her 8 years as mayor and 8 years as governor to get those things done. I will be doing the exact opposite, and I'll be fighting tooth and nail to get rid of these restrictions so that we can have an economy here that is going to support the people who are here. Along that same line, Hawaii has, as I'm sure you know, about 11,000 square miles of land. Singapore has 250 square miles of land. Singapore has about 4 million people, we've got about 1 million. Singapore has a gross domestic product of about close to $200 billion per year. Hawaii has a gross domestic product of about $64 billion per year, most of which is either government spending or tourism. Very fragile, particularly given the system with our currency right now. We're not sure what a dollar is ever going to be worth 5 years from now if we don't make some very serious changes. So in any event, what I intend to do, and I would ask every one of you folks, go online, look at www.Carroll4 or the word 4 Senate.com, and we have a white paper there on the Jones Act in Singapore and how to really make our economy burgeon, and take a look at that, and you'll see we've been doing work on it, and we're continuing to update that white paper. So if we do this, I believe that Hawaii can be and should be the #1 most economically stable, viable enclave in the entire world. We can be a model, and that can include agriculture, it can include financial, because we've got all of the fiber optic hookups to be at the financial center of the world if we could get the Fortune 500 companies to come in here. We need to look at what the Singaporean government has done and how they did it, and then we can do much of the same things. A lot of it has to do with affordable housing, some of it has to do with immigration, but it has to do with a climate that makes sense to business people who have the money and want to invest and be part of our state. In any event, the other major issue in this race seems to be pro-choice. Now, Mrs. Lingle came out a few days ago with an article talking about why she is pro-choice. I am pro-life. I think Pat probably remembers, but back in, I think it was 1970, we were the first state to become to legalize abortion, and I was very happy to sign up for that. I went for a number of years being absolutely, totally pro-choice. And in fact, when the pro-life people would come to my office, I'd tell my staff, don't let those nuts in here. So, in any way, excuse me, that's a quote, actually. So, what happened, good Lord, I was married, and I won't go into that subject matter. But my wife and I wanted very much to have a baby. And so this child is born, and she came at 27 weeks. She weighed 1.5 pounds, and she was like 710 grams, and they had this posted. And I'm in there reading Dr. Seuss, and both she and the child almost died, actually. She had a category 3 brain hemorrhage. In any event, after about 5 weeks, the child was not progressing. She had heart surgery, she had a hernia surgery, and I couldn't imagine on this little dinky thing they could do anything like that, but they did. And this 8 doctors called us in, and they said, look, this kid is going to be nuts, she's going to be moo-moo, she's going to be whatever, just pull the plug, forget it, start over. So one doctor said, I don't have an opinion. The other one said, why don't you give it a chance anyway? That was Dr. Rodney Boychuk, who was head of neonatal intensive care at that time. In any event, she asked me as we're going out, by the way, I was a complete pagan at that time. Devout pagan might be a better. I said, what should we do? And I said, what do you mean? And he said, well, should we, pull a support? I said, I'm not going to kill my own kid. We're in there, she's smiling and saying Funa Laguna Babuna out of Dr. Seuss and all this stuff. So, in any event, this is kind of personal stuff, but I really want you to understand why I'm telling you this. But the net effect of it is that I really realize what abortion is all about. And it is about killing little babies. So if you want to talk about pro-choice, then that's fine. And women's rights, I'm 1,000,000% in favor of women's rights. And but when it comes to killing these children in vitro, I say absolutely not. Pro-choice, I don't think one of the choices is to kill babies. And so I'm basically totally committed to being a pro-life candidate. I know this is kind of heavy-duty stuff to be talking about, but I think it's a very, very important issue. It's very important nationally, and I certainly intend to make that a major issue. When you hear, you know, Madam Chairman and ladies of the league and all you gentlemen who are fortunate enough to be here, and Pat Psyche, what a pleasure to see you, and you have black hair. That's really exciting. Pat looks terrific. Yeah, she's not as old as I am, but she's getting there. So, and Pat, Lily, I thank you for giving us a chance. I feel like I've been excluded from the party for about the past 8 years between. Well, anyway, never mind. But so I'll be at that.
And we'll honor you, John.
Well, I don't know if I'd be sure honor, but yeah. But anyway, mahalo, me ke aloha.
Wow.